Crosby from the corner, twisting and turning inside out. Beautiful move, trying to get the shot on. He holds, he shoots, he scores! Absolutely!
The pitch, high fly ball, center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall. Goal!
Roethlisberger gives it a lot of room here. Juju Smith-Schuster off to the races inside the 30, the 20, the 10.
Wow, what a great 10-year anniversary logo. We're in the BPTV live Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show tonight. Thank you all for watching us. We appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip Hayner here. Smoking Jim notified me on Sunday after my daughter's great wedding. He's in the hospital till at least Tuesday. It's a mystery on what he has or what they're doing, but he said the sponge baths are great. So we don't know where he is. Nick got called in to do a show on the Fan because of the baseball in Arizona, so he's gone tonight. And A2 and Ryan, they're out there in the street somewhere. So we're down to A1 or Anthony and Corey on camera. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in the Pittsburgh area, from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, City of Pittsburgh, and all points in between. And I forgot to tell you, because we're missing everybody, but we're in the municipal building here in Bethel Park. We're on the left side when you come in the glass door, and on the right side is the police station. Upstairs is the library and the mayor's offices. Mike. Oh. You can just come in. Just so you know, we're doing live TV. You can just tell me I didn't have my mic on. So, folks, we're on live TV. This has never happened this year. It happened other times, and I'll show you I'm mic'd up if you're filming it. There we go. Can you hear me now? Instead of all that chatter in the background, my crew here is always great, but I have to criticize them. They're a door away. My point is straight up. All right, if you didn't hear me, did they hear anything then, Anthony?
They did, yes.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you for all the likes on Pittsburgh Sportsline Facebook. We slipped on to 6951, so we still only need 49 to get to 7K by the end of the year. And I appreciate all the likes you have, and we have some promos here. I introduced Chip so you know it's just me and him. And when I left, I told my son Drew, who's watching the Little League games, he's ignoring us. So if you're watching, we appreciate you. Oh, hello, Ralph. I could have used you tonight, Ralph. Nick ended up getting called into the Fan, and Smoking Jim's not here. Amy's here. Welcome back from Pymatuming. And I'm glad you had your birthday when Casey had her wedding. So happy birthday, Amy. All right, we'll get to these promos. Let's see what Corey does on this. He told me he's fine. Let's see how it looks. There's a little pause for the cause. Ah, there we go. Very nice. 412-831-1900. Olive Oil's Pizzeria sponsors us with an XL pepperoni pizza and a steak hoagie cut in 6 slices. Chip opened it up. No 6 slices. We had a knife. Anthony brought it in before, so we used it tonight.
Had to do a little surgery.
Okay, we trust Chip on that. He's good on the lawns, and he's good on cutting a nice piece of the hoagie. So we're good to go. They have great Italian food. We witness it each week. It's delicious. Check out their pasta, their salads, their soups, and their desserts. They have a lot of great things, and they even have, as we call it here in Pittsburgh, plenty of pop. So check them out there. Frank Fanera owns it. Saw him on his way out. He was taking care of some business. So Rico from Puerto Rico made our hoagie and our pizza, and it's very good. Delish. All right, next up, We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. We'll see what Corey can do on this one. I'm looking to see. Here we go. Nice close-up with Joey before DIPG. It's the brain cancer that cost him his life. And he was only 8 years old when he died, like 7 years ago. And we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. His parents, that's the second child they lost. Their first daughter, they lost to kidney disease. And it's sad for a family to lose two children. They're my heroes. They started the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. And they do great events, and it's a 501c3. You can donate, excuse me, as little as $1. And they do different activities. Their big event is September 18th, and it's the 5K 1 mile run with the superheroes with the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. And just check it out. It's the biggest event that they have, and they raise the most money there. They've raised over $100,000. They've given it to Dr. Gary at Children's Hospital, and they say they're working on finding a cure. Hopefully we'll hear something soon, but they told me last year they're getting close. So that's what I have. Thanks for liking their page, and check out their events. And we filmed that event on September 18th on BPTV, and I'll do interviews. Next up, let's see what Corey does tonight. Look at that. Great job, Corey. Bethel Park Historical Society, Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. The white and red trolleys there right out front. They got their own library, military uniforms, yearbooks, even some old-time radios and consoles there. It's pretty cool. And we're going to do a show on Thursday, 7 o'clock to 8 at the Bethel Park Historical Society. All of you are invited. I invited a bunch of people from Bethel Park and other places. Come on out. We'll be in the Bethel Park Community Foundation auditorium upstairs. We'll be filming the show, and I got about 5 great guests. So check it out. And they have Reginald's Coffee. They're under reconstruction a little bit, so they're shut down for now. But it's they have a dance studio there. They got an artist there, and it's a remodeled 1905 First High School in Bethel Park from 1905. Been completely remodeled, so check it out. Next up, we'll test Corey again. All right, there. Here we go. Nice shot, Corey. Look at that. That's Bennett. That's the B in Always Be Smiling. He was a happy, handicapped kid who had 2 kidney transplants. Dean gave him the last kidney, and he passed away at 16 and a half. And his mother, Kristen, and Dean started a 501c3, Always Be Smiling, with There's Bennett, smiling and having fun till the day he died. It's very sad. They asked us to promote them, and we do each week, and they do great events in our area, helping other kids and families with kidney transplants and expenses. They do a lot of great events along Montour Trail and other places in our area. So check them out, and thanks to all of you for liking the page and liking their events and maybe even attending them. So we appreciate it. We pumped them up to over 1,200 likes, so we're happy to do that. All right. A social worker friend of mine told me she had a person that she knew with kidney disease, chronic kidney disease like me. There it is. Corey did well. There's Kathleen, and she's on this flyer. I asked her to make up. Her kidney function was 17%, and she wanted to get a kidney donor like my son Drew, and I'm doing great. Next month is my 3-year anniversary, and everything's going very well, truly blessed. So Kathleen got a donor. She can't tell us until we get the surgery for her, and then we'll know whether they watched our show or somebody else referred her to become a donor. What a great person she is to donate a kidney to Kathleen. So there you go. If you have anybody else in some health or something, I would wouldn't mind promoting them to get them a kidney too. Whoa. Let's see how Corey does on this one. Nice close-up. We appreciate it. Wanted Bethel Park groups and organizations who need money. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has grant money for you and your group doing great things in Bethel Park. Grants from $100 to $5,000 to make our community even better. So thank you. Go to bpcf.org. I'm a trustee on the board, and get an application. We meet every 2 months on a Thursday night. So get your app, and we've given out over $1 million in 26 years, and we give out money all the time. So check it out, get that application in, and you can get your money for your group and your activities. All right, last little promo here. Let's see how it looks there. All right. That's my smiling face on Uncle Sam. And David Fabus, you're welcome. He loved the promo on him. So I'm glad you were watching, Dave. Tell Josh we hope he feels better. He's a little under the weather. He doesn't have COVID. I've heard it's all negative tests. So get better quick, Josh. We appreciate and miss you tonight. Last week we had a full house with 6 people helping us. This week we're down 2 on the board here, and we're down 4 on the cameras in the control room. Guess what? The show must go on. Dave had some fun at my expense, and I want you for BPTV. Tell them Uncle Al wants you to work at BPTV. You're welcome, David Fabus. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you on Thursday night at the Bethel Park Historical Society's Arts and History Center Schoolhouse. So see you then. And you can work here if you're in high school and you want to learn video and audio. Contact Dave Cable, 412-831-3304. And you can work here, as today we're limited to Corey, and we got Anthony in the control room. And look at the job they're doing and how we look. Look at this here. It's looking good here. So that's all good. And we're going to start our show with What's on Your Mind, Chip Hayner.
Thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. And I'd like to give a little shout out to members of my family that I saw at the family reunion last week that watch our show regularly.
Nice.
And
Shout
I'd
out
like
to
to
you.
welcome them to our program, and I hope hope we entertain you this evening. So what's on my mind tonight? 1 o'clock on Sunday. I happened to be done working by that time. Got my feet up in time to watch the Pirates Hall of Fame inductees for the inaugural Hall of Fame entrance to the Pirates Hall of Fame. So the 19 people were selected. And I thought it was a pretty great thing, and I'll give you a quick rundown of the players that were selected.
Yeah.
Some names you may recognize, some you may not. First on the list, Jake Beckley. He played in the 1800s for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Right.
Honus Wagner, who people say is the greatest Pirate that ever lived. Fred Clark, Max Carey, Paul Wainer, Lloyd Wainer, Big Poison, Little Poison. Oscar Charleston. And Oscar Charleston may be a name a lot of people don't recognize. He may be one of the greatest baseball players that ever played the game.
I've read about him.
And he played for the Pittsburgh Crawfords and the Homestead Grays.
Yes.
Pie Traynor, Ray Brown, Archie Vaughn, Josh Gibson, and Buck Leonard. 2 more players from the Negro Leagues. Ralph Kiner, who led the league in home runs his first 7 years in the major leagues. Bill Mazeroski, Danny Murtaugh finally makes a Hall of Fame. But,
Local.
And he should make the National Hall of Fame. Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, Steve Blass, and Dave Parker make up the first ever class of Pirates Hall of Fame players. And a lot of thought was put into this. And what's going to happen with the Pirates Hall of Fame is year in and year out, there's going to be new entrants into the Hall of Fame. Not everybody could get in the first inaugural bout. So I heard somebody bring up a point. It probably would have been pretty special if they would have picked 21 people to go into the Hall of Fame because of the significance
Great
of the
point.
number of 21, and who those candidates may be. There's a laundry list of people that are deserving. I said this when I brought this up a few weeks ago when I talked about, we had no idea how many or whom.
Right.
And I thought a good place to start would be the Hall of Famers from the
that's a great
Pittsburgh Pirates.
suggestion, yeah.
And,
And
so
they did some of that.
So local media has to take something that I think is a nice achievement for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they have to put a negative spin on it because
course.
they say, well, how could it be a Hall of Fame if Barry Bonds isn't in? And and so they and Dick Groat was an omission, which I feel is somebody that will eventually make it.
Yeah.
And I do believe, and I said this before, that Barry Bonds at some point will make the Pirates Hall of Fame based on the performances
In
for the
Pittsburgh.
6 years of when he played in Pittsburgh before he decided to start
Didn't he have two
cheating.
most valuable players?
Two most valuable player awards, but is Barry Bonds the greatest Pirate that ever lived? And my humble opinion is no. Barry Bonds was a very, very good ball player, probably the best of his generation. But when you think about the longevity and the accomplishments of some of the other Pirates, I'm sorry, he just didn't bring it. I mean, he didn't bring a championship to the series.
Right.
Yes, he won 2 MVP awards. There's other players that won, a whole lot more.
And World Series.
And that was his flaw because in 3 years in the playoffs, he completely stunk the joint out.
Yes, he did.
He was horrible. And, that's part of his legacy as well. But he eventually will be in the Hall of Fame. They say he wasn't excluded for any particular reason, but they felt that, to start with the Hall of Famers, the members of the Negro Leagues, which I'm sure there will be more of those
Right.
coming, it'll be great. But why do we have to always take a positive and put a negative spin on it when it comes to
How about being
our
happy?
local sports teams? That goes for the Pirates. That goes for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Because there's been nothing but criticism about our Hall of Fame football coach, and I know Smoking Jim is spinning in his sponge bath right now.
I can picture it.
But but be that as it may, I do think it was a great thing that the Pirates did start a Hall of Fame. I think that all 19 entrants into the first class are all deserving. So I applaud the Pittsburgh Pirates. It'll give us something to look forward to, and of course, fodder for argument as to who deserves. I mean, I can think of a lot of players that I think are deserving. Yes, Barry Lamar Bonds does eventually belong in there.
Even I understand that with the 6 years he had. I can't help it. Later on, his head became a basketball, and he was hitting home runs, more home runs at the oldest age ever. So
Right.
I understand that type of stuff. But how can you not put Dick Groat in?
Well,
that's the one thing. Like, who made the list
And
up?
Dick Groat was probably one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of Western Pennsylvania.
And
he played in the NBA.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
You know-
And he was from Duke.
And he played at Duke.
Yeah.
So he was at all. And that's all they did when he was a child. They would go from one sport to the next. They'd play baseball in the summer, basketball in the fall and winter. They would be constantly playing one sport after
and
another.
Chip, here's the other thing. When you're doing a list, he's 91 years old, and I got another guy for you. Elroy Face.
I've even got another one for you. The Deacon,
That's
Vernon Law.
his kids grew up in Greentree. I played baseball with his kids.
Do the Pirates win the 1960 World Series?
No.
Without Elroy Face, without Vernon Law.
No.
And these are guys that are still alive that, I hope that they make the
And
decision.
I just have a question. How long will they live? 91 for Dick Groat. He doesn't announce any more basketball,
No, he
which he was
doesn't.
great on that. Elroy Face, 94 years old. Again, Why? Who's thinking and putting this together? They didn't say.
Elroy Face 1 year as a reliever was 19-1.
I know.
You know, he was the best reliever in baseball and could be the greatest reliever in Pirates history. You know, then you've got other fringe members, like you've got people like Al Oliver, you've got Manny Sanguillen,
Right.
you got John Candelaria.
Yeah,
you've got
no-hitter.
well, that's to come. That's further on down the road tonight.
You know we're on the same page.
Yes, we're on the same.
Yeah.
Because you know what today is, right? August the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay. But
That's why
you know,
it slipped out.
a lot of players are deserving, and they all eventually will get in, and then, you know, and just embrace the moment and enjoy it for what it's worth, as opposed to trying to constantly find a way to chop down and
Right.
and ridicule, you know, a proud franchise. 135 years in this city.
Right.
This city, you know, the
Well, I have one negative comment to make. Why wouldn't you do like the top 10 Pirates of all time to start the list instead of 19? Like, why would you throw a 19 out there? 21's a great idea in honor of Roberto, legendary Pirate, and we even believe his number should be retired here.
absolutely across
So-
Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, definitely. And my point is, what would have been the hardship with 10 and put in 10 each year?
You know,
How bad would that have been as marketing?
you know, who knows what? I was listening to an interview with Jim Trudinich, who was the Pirates publicity director and is now the Pirates official historian.
Yeah, I heard about him. Yeah.
And he is the one that was responsible for getting this together, and it was a collaborative effort to determine
See, now you're narrowing it down to me.
or who who got in.
So there was a committee like that.
There was a committee, and you know, they weighed a lot of different factors, and I guess they didn't want to put too many in the first class. But you know, I mean,
Here, we always kid. Let
Why
me interrupt
19?
you. We always kid about Smoking Jim. Tony from Chick-fil-A, if you're watching, you know a top 10 with Smoking Jim is from 15 to 25. So if you did a top 10 with Buccos, like I was saying, it'd be legit. And each year you add to it. You could market it around this time of the year each year, and
I'll give you an active player. I think deserves every bit to be in the Pirates Hall of Fame. But you know, do they wait to put him in there until he's retired? It's
Probably.
Andrew McCutchen.
yeah.
You know, because look what he was, the linchpin of the turnaround the Pirates had
Right,
in
for
the
3
early
years,
20
yeah.
teens.
Yeah.
You know, and do the Pirates go to the playoffs in 2013, 14, and 15 without Andrew McCutchen?
No. I'll give you the answer. No.
No.
They
so,
don't make it. No, but I think it's for retired guys that it
Oh,
should
you know,
be.
and there's plenty of them.
Traditionally.
There's plenty of them that are deserving. They'll all get in eventually.
10.
But the three that we brought up.
Yeah.
Vernon Law, Elroy Face, Dick Groat. I
Right.
think they deserve to be in long before Barry Bonds.
Anybody else, yeah.
Barry Bonds, because they'll let these guys have it, because September 3rd, and I'll be at the ballpark that day, is when they're going to enshrine these 19. It'll be a pregame ceremony, and there will only be a small handful of them there. I'm sure Willie Stargell's wife will be there.
Sure, she always does.
And they'll have Roberto's sons.
Yeah, they're around here. One of them has an insurance agency here.
So, hey, congratulations on the Hall members, and it makes me sad that we have to take something positive and turn it into a negative.
Couldn't agree with you more, Chip. All right, what's on my mind? Corey, can you get this shirt? This is on my mind. E equal MC squared. All right, let me go back to my camera. Show me. All right, my hair.
It's got
Chip-
the Einstein effect going
Chip
on.
tells me when it gets this long, I look like Einstein. So thank you, Chip Hayner and Stephanie. They got me my
Theory
E
of relativity.
equal MC squared. And for all you non-sports fans, Google it. I'm not going to tell you why. What's on my mind? is Steeler training camp. I've never gone there. I appreciate people going there and all that stuff. And you hear all these reports, but whenever I get reports on camp, I don't know. I'm a positive guy. Chip, you know, I talk positive stuff all the time. How come every report we get from Steeler camp is something positive? We never hear about somebody doing bad or stinking up the place. We hear stats, couple interceptions, one out of 11 for Trubisky, or he missed 11 passes, and Mason Rudolph's doing well. Smoking Jim's been right because training camp is early. They have a game, what is it, on Sunday?
Saturday.
Saturday. So they got
Saturday
a game
against the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks. We'll see what happens. I heard Trubisky's going to start the game, even though everybody's reporting Mason Rudolph is doing better than anybody. Kenny Pickett threw a couple interceptions today. I'll be honest with you. What do I need an update like that each time about training camp? How about let's find out what rookie is catching the ball? What running back is going to be backing up Najee Harris? How's Najee Harris doing? Let's find out about the line. Do we have a true center this year? That's my specialty from being a center in high school. We need a true center. Kendrick Green, I heard he looks pretty good at guard.
It's his natural position.
I just want you beat me to it. We like one up each other on what's next. Last year when I found out he was a guard, going to be a starter in the NFL, I said, we're done. His footwork was terrible all year. He hated it. Ben Roethlisberger said he'd be better as a guard. Well, he played it, like Chip said, all through college except for 4 games. We need some common sense to it. When I was coming in tonight, I listened to Mark Madden for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he had a couple guests on. He had Ted Nugent on, so I listened to that interview. I like his music, but he's as crazy as you could be. He's 74 years old and thinks he can out rock and roll everybody and anybody, and he started to talk politics. I don't want to hear his politics. Yeah.
I saw Ted Nugent in concert in 1977, and I swear, for all the rock concerts I've gone to, that was the loudest concert I've ever gone to, and I swear I could not hear for about 5 days afterwards.
Mission accomplished, according to Teddy. That's Sweaty Teddy. Well, then, hey, Chip, at the end of the show at 5:30, when I was going to pick up the pizza and the hoagie, guess who his guest was? The new GM of the Steelers, Omar Khan. And he had only short answers, didn't really give anything. Mark asked him, which I'm not a fan of Mark Madden, but he asked him a question, do the Steelers ever admit they're rebuilding? Guess what? He stumbled a little bit, and then he goes, no. Well, we never rebuild. Then he goes, if we're at the middle of the pack in the division and we draft in the middle of the pack, how are we going to get better? He didn't have an answer for him on that. So Omar Khan is coming in after Colbert had a pretty successful career. I would say that, Chip. Smoking Jim disagrees all the time.
Well,
but he did get some nice draft picks.
Smoking Jim was critical of Omar Khan getting the job in the first place. And I think that the one person that works for the Pittsburgh Steelers that said the best training camp yet is Omar Khan. He got Minka Fitzpatrick signed.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He got Deontay Johnson signed. He got Boswell signed. So now all of these distractions
are gone.
That the media were trying to wedge in there.
Hold it, one interjection. Chip, you talk about insiders. Tell me how many insiders had that.
How many insiders had the signings?
Go ahead, I'll let you say it.
Not a one of them. You know, they every single one of them said Deontay Johnson is not going to get re-signed. They're going to let him play out this year, and if they have to, they'll franchise tag him next year. And you know, and that contract came up last week, and I called Alan that morning.
Yeah.
As soon as it was out, and you know, and this is contract. Alan knows about contract negotiations. Yeah. Contract negotiations don't happen in 20 minutes. Okay, there are negotiations. There's give and
Months,
take.
Yeah.
You know, so there had been negotiations ongoing, which all of the insiders said there were none, and that there were no offers on the table, and apparently there was. and he accepted the offer, and he's now under contract. That distraction's been eliminated from the team. Now, as a general manager, being that, okay, our previous quarterback, okay, he'll remain nameless. He doesn't deserve to have his name mentioned.
Not right now.
You know, he retired. So the Steelers have some reorganization to do on the offensive side of the ball. Now, what they did was they strengthened their defense, which in my mind's eye was a really intelligent move because, you know, they're not going to have the high-powered offense that they'd had in the past.
Right.
So if you're not going to have a high-powered offense, the only way you're going to be able to compete in our division is to have a top-rated defense. And I think the Steelers, bringing back Tyson Alualu, bringing in Oladokun, bringing in Miles Jack, let's see if there was a resurgence for Devin Bush. Devin Bush had a horrible year last year. All anybody could talk about was how terrible he's doing. Nobody said anything about the fact that he was recovering from a horrific knee injury, surgery that takes over a year to heal, and here in months, he was back on the field. No, he wasn't himself. I expect to see better play out of Devin Bush this year compared to last year. And you know what? It's only going to make the Steelers a better team. But I think the Steelers are going to have a top-flight defense this year, and that's going to win them more games than their offense is going to lose for them.
On a couple points with that, with Omar Khan, he's been their financial guy and negotiator. And Smoking Jim, we're not beating him up. He makes it obvious. He acts like he doesn't know football. Wouldn't you have to study like how they play, where they've played, what they do, and what their performance on the field is to sign him to a contract? Think about those things.
Well, and he spent 20 years working under an organization that is always drafted in the middle of the pack, but yet they're one of the most successful NFL franchises. You go all the way back to 1970. 1970 to now, the Steelers are in the top 2 or 3 teams in the league in wins. And they've been drafting in the lower half of the draft most of that time.
Well, I got to pick on Smoking Jim. How can you get a D- for the last 10 years of my show, which is my first 10 years, that it's a D- every year, and we still haven't had a losing season? I don't like the bar about saying no losing seasons because I like Super Bowls.
Yeah, but how do you give a draft class a D- when the draft class includes T.J. Watt?
Right. And he said he's the best Steeler player ever.
Yeah, but he gave that draft class a D-.
Well, Smoking Jim's not here to defend himself.
Good, let's pile on.
Yeah. We can add to this. He can defend it all he wants and being absent because we don't know why he's really absent. He has health issues. We don't know what they are. When I had my kidney transplant almost 3 years ago, he was in the hospital for a week to 10 days with plastic cast on his legs and an IV. Who knows what that means? How can he be in from Sunday to Wednesday? You're talking 4 days, and he may have been in on Saturday. So what kind of issues do you have? So we'll pick on him a little bit more. I just, I'm happy to see where the Steelers are at and who they've signed. And I'm hopeful that the offensive line, because we have the highest paid defense, if we're not in the top 5, I'll just say, then mission unaccomplished.
Another team that I think is going to be the biggest disappointment in the AFC North this year, I think it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
If you think about it, the Steelers lost as many games last year as the Bengals did. The difference between the Steelers winning the division was that tie against the Lions.
No, well, like I said last year, everybody's saying how great the Bengals were. I go, they were 10-7.
They got hot at the right time.
Right.
And that reminds me of the Steelers of 2005.
Good point.
And the Steelers of 2005, they closed the deal. Okay, they brought back the trophy.
Yeah.
The Bengals did not, and I think so much is going to be expected of them this year. And take into account, teams are going to come gunning for them. They're not taking anybody by surprise this year.
No, and they did look at Joe Burrow. You got to give him all the credit coming back from a severe knee injury and come back. He's a very good young quarterback. And we got other good quarterbacks, here.
They've
Lamar
got a nice
Jackson.
receiving core.
Yeah.
A nice, and Joe Mixon is a nice running back to have. But you know what? 17 games is a long season.
Yeah.
And last year, Cincinnati didn't really have any injuries. That's the exception.
That's the equalizer.
Yeah, because in the NFL, you deal with injuries and lots of them.
No, and that's why we need a good core here in Pittsburgh and what they've signed. And they signed the defensive guys, so we got a lot of top 3 or 4 players, but we need the other players to add into that.
See, Brian Flores got a little bit of justification.
100%.
You see what
let's
happened
talk
with
about that before.
Yeah, with Stephen Ross, the owner of the of Dolphins, has now been sanctioned. He's suspended
6 games till October 17th.
Yeah, and he's fined $1.5 million. And apparently, Roger Goodell said it was one of the most egregious examples of tampering that he's ever seen. But yet, why is this man allowed to own a franchise? But they let Daniel Snyder own a franchise, and
What did the NBA do with that one guy? I forget his name. That was racist. In his
Silver,
comments.
I think, it was the owner of the Clippers.
Yeah.
And they forced him to sell the franchise.
He had to sell. We got 2 guys that have crossed the line. So I mean, to me, that's shocking.
Right.
And it's the CBA that they signed. Here's what's odd: they paid a retired federal judge. She agreed that Deshaun Watson's things were egregious, and he needs to be supervised whenever he goes to a massageist.
So the interesting thing about this, and I've heard arguments in both ways, and we're going to have to see how it plays out, because I'm not an attorney. I don't know all about all the ins and outs. But they say that if he is suspended for a year and fined a huge sum of money, that they're going to try to get this taken into federal court. And I've heard speculation that federal court will throw it right back at him and say, "Hey, look." You've got a collective bargaining agreement. You two sat down and worked out how this was going to work.
Right.
They followed the process. You just signed a CBA. We're not going to listen to it.
I actually know a little bit about it. When we negotiate contracts, there's labor law. If it's in your CBA, which is a mutual agreement, like most people think it's one-sided or not, but it's a compromise. So I learned it's a compromise that's in there. We had guys at work that would go to the labor department and they go, "You guys agreed to this. You can't throw it out." We had guys that got crazy, went up to the federal building and would do it, and the company said, "Go ahead and challenge it." Well, they got mad a couple times and they said they're filing a labor charge. This happened in the 70s and 80s. They got thrown out of court from the labor department. So Chip's 100% right. I'll agree that that's what happened. Or will happen if they do that.
So pretty much
you got to work it out yourself. But here's what's strange: they paid the retired federal judge lady, and she basically gave the largest fine, or by 6-game expansion.
Based on what the
history of the NFL, who's wrong.
But in her decision, they gave the NFL all the ammunition it needs to justify a longer suspension and a bigger fine.
Well,
because there was no fine.
Right. They want indefinite in a year, but they want a fine
of $8 to $10 million.
But here's what shows, I like to bring this up since we have extra time with just 2 of us. If they're saying that they need more fines for Deshaun Watson, I agree. No doubt. But then I have a problem. Your owners, they've stated, have to be held to a higher standard. How can you only fine $1.5 million to an owner? And riddle this to me. How can you be an owner and be suspended for 6 games not to go to your stadium? You still collect all the revenue that your team brings in. You still have all the expenses. How's that stop you from being an owner?
No, and
why was it only $1.5 million when who's the football player that gambled $1,500? He lost $11 million because he has to miss the whole season because he broke the CBA.
Right, and you know,
It makes you think.
And this is the thing, you know, when every time millionaires get into negotiation with billionaires,
Billionaires
you know,
win.
The billionaires win, and it makes the NFLPA look relatively lame.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I'll just share this, that I told you how bad the NFLPA is. I learned when I was 22, first contract, multi-million-dollar contract. I knew then you don't accept the first offer. And you know why? That's usually your worst offer. Guess who accepted that? NFLPA.
because
So they reap what they reward. They wanted to smoke dope and get away with that leniency, so
well,
they did
you
that.
know, I mean, whatever, you know, but they didn't make things easy for themselves, and now they've got
They didn't
nobody
look
to
at the
blame.
future. They looked at today.
No, they looked at the dollar signs. And,
Right.
you know, but you know, be that as it may. So it'll be interesting to see how this finally plays out, and I would expect to hear some type of ruling, because here's what the
They're going to do it quick.
here's what the NFLPA decided, or this is what Deshaun Watson's people wanted to do. They wanted to go to verbal arguments to plead their case.
Yeah.
But the way that they set this up in the CBA is that the NFL files their appeal in writing,
Right.
and Watson's people file their
theirs.
response to that in writing. It goes to the arbitrator, and
He sorts it out.
reads that, and then he makes his decision. There is no arguments, and they're saying it's not fit. Well, this is the process that you agreed to.
Well, just remember what I told you about CBAs. It's a compromise. When you have weak negotiators, like, they have to be a couple of the worst because of my experience by agreeing to the first and only offer.
Well, you know, when you agreed to the CBA and you don't even know what the nuts and bolts of it are.
Thank you.
I mean, you need to hire better attorneys, and you need to have somebody teach you what you're getting into before you sign, before you vote on it.
Well, Chip, I'll go back in time. They gave me a pamphlet, not one, but 3 different pamphlets on how to negotiate and what you need. It spells out everything you're talking about, and you know I like to read like you do, so that's where I was ahead of others that had been doing it 20 years, because it's all in there and it's all based on federal law.
Well, you know,
That's how simple it
I
is.
mean,
I rest my case.
I'm no genius.
No, you don't
I'm
have
no
to
genius.
be.
So we were talking before. We were talking about John Candelaria. Okay.
Yeah.
August 9th, 1976. John Candelaria did something that had not been done in Pittsburgh since 1907.
I remember.
Let me get down to here.
49 years or something. Or no, 69.
Let's see here. In 1976, August 9th, Candelaria hit the Los Angeles Dodgers in front of a crowd of 9,900 fans at Three Rivers Stadium. It was the first no-hitter pitched by a Pirate in Pittsburgh since Nick Maddox at Exposition Park
Whoa.
in 1907. So
Wow.
no Pirate pitcher ever pitched a no-hitter in Forbes Field.
Wow, the first ever.
Candelaria's second postseason appearance with the Pirates. He pitched Game 3 in the 75 NLCS, came in their 1979 championship season. Candelaria started Game 1 of the 1979 NLCS and pitched 7 innings of 2-run ball against the Reds with a painful shoulder. The Pirates won 5-2 in 11 innings. In the 79 series, Candelaria had a rough Game 3, giving up 5 runs in 4 innings as the Pirates lost 8-4 to the Orioles. And he redeems himself in a crucial Game 6 by combining with Kent Tekulve to pitch a 4-0 shutout.
Yeah.
Candelaria stood 6'7", Wielded a mid to upper 90s fastball with natural movement, remained an effective starter for the Pirates through the 1984 season.
Yeah.
So a little shout out to John
The
Candelaria.
Candyman.
And recognize August 9th, 1976. Now, myself, as a lifelong Pirates fan, I have been present to 2 no-hitters pitched, one in Three River Stadium,
Yeah.
and that was in 1997. I believe it might have been July the 12th against the Houston Astros. A combined Francisco
I was gonna say,
Cordova
it's a
and Ricardo
couple.
Rincon. Cordova pitched 9 innings of no-hit ball. Rincon pitched no-hit 10th. Mark Smith hit a 3-run homer at the bottom of the 10th to walk it off. And I watched Homer Bailey pitch a no-hitter
yeah,
against
for
the
the
Pittsburgh
Reds.
Pirates in September of 2012. Now, I almost saw my 3rd no-hitter in 2017 when the Pirates played the Dodgers. And, oh my goodness, what was that guy's name? Left-hander was no hit until there were 2 outs in the 9th, and the no-hitter was broken by Josh Harrison. And the Pirates
I
walked
remember.
that game off 1-0.
I remember. I forget the pitcher.
You know, my deal with my wife when we go to baseball games, I will never get up and leave early while no hitter's being pitched.
I don't blame
And
you.
and because there's people who've been going to baseball games their whole life and have never seen a no hitter
Yeah.
pitched, and I've witnessed 2.
Well, I've gone my whole life since I was a kid from Forbes Field watching it in Three Rivers and PNC Park. Haven't seen one. I don't go to as many games as you lately, but there's certain reasons and attitudes I have. So
Right. Well,
I respect the no-hitter.
No, and I tell you what, it's an amazing accomplishment, and my wife does her happy dance when,
Nice.
when both teams get their first hit of the game. I just look at her and shake my head. But she's
No,
a trooper, and she
hey.
enjoys the game as much as I
No,
do.
that's it. And I'll share this was trivia time by Chip. Since we're running out of time, we got into the discussion. In case you didn't notice, both of us know a few things about baseball, unlike our guest who's getting sponge bath. And we could talk about it. So I'm going to go to On Location
Good.
right now, 10 seconds. Great On Location graphic by A2. And Corey and Anthony, I shook things up after Chip did, and we got On Location. Thursday night, first On Location show for Pittsburgh Sportsline in 2022. It's at the Bethel Park Historical Society right here at 2600 South Park Road at the old Schoolhouse Park Avenues. It's the intersection of Park Avenue and South Park Road. So check us out there at 7 o'clock. Everybody's welcome, and we want to see if we get any people to come out. If we have some decent crowd that comes out, and we're going to do it again in September, and I may even treat for a pizza and some pop. So we'll see what happens there, and that's Thursday night. Smoking Jim's supposed to be out of the hospital. He's a betting man, and I'm sure he would give us even money. I'm going to call it a long shot that he's out there by Thursday night. So we'll see what happens. On Location this Saturday, we're going to the USS Fight Academy out in North Versailles, amateur fights. Steve Cunningham and Jim Santamaro, they want us to come out and announce. So Smoking Jim, hopefully you'll join me. If not, I'll have to get a guest announcer there. I got some boxing people that want to do it, so we'll check that out. And then we got asked again by USS Cunningham and Jim Santamaro to do a show, Chip. How about at Beyondy Lincoln Mercury in Monroeville? They want us to do a boxing show. They're going to have a ring set up in Beyondy, and that's 1 o'clock on Sunday on the 4th of September. So stay tuned to that. Then we're looking at boxing in Southside on the 24th of September by Christopher Ralph and his prelim boxing. And we'll be doing a show there at, I think it's at 7 o'clock. Or no, it's a 4 o'clock in the afternoon show then. So we've got a couple afternoons of boxing. So that's our On Location. And Chip, we got about 9 minutes to talk anything we want about sports. What do you want to bring up right now?
Oh, interesting. Didn't we have a little video from our friend?
Oh,
Nicholas?
wait a second.
The VIP.
Yeah,
Let's
Chip,
not forget about.
Chip covered this. Anthony, take us to the VIP with Nick Callis.
Oh,
you're on fire. We almost got out of
yeah,
here.
we got to give young Nick his props for the evening.
Thanks for stepping up, Chip.
Well, something happened over the weekend that was important in Pirates history, and that's that the Pirates introduced their first class of Hall of Famers, their first just specific Pirates class that are to be honored and recognized in just the singular Pirates Hall of Fame. Now, a lot of players got recognized, and I understand why they did this. They wanted to let some players get in, some managers get in that weren't recognized by baseball's Hall of Fame. Dave Parker was one of those names. Danny Murtaugh was another. So I think it's a good idea to do from a promotional standpoint to just give recognition to those guys who were on the Pirates and made the Pirates great in the past. But they left out a few names, and one of those names is Barry Bonds. And I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Barry Bonds. I know Chip doesn't necessarily like him for the fact that he used steroids and that he wasn't a nice guy. Al has some of the same opinions on him, but I know Smokin' Jim is on my side with acknowledging Barry Bonds' greatness. So it's split. It's split at this table. It's split, I think, all across the nation on how everybody feels about Barry Bonds in the baseball community. But I'm here today to argue that he should have been a part of the inaugural class of players and Pirates personnel who got inducted into the first class of those Pirates Hall of Famers. So something happened yesterday on the PM team at 93.7 The Fan. They had their first Pirates historian, former public relations guy, Jim Trudinich, who went on the show and talked about why the first class of Hall of Famers were inducted, but also he was asked about Barry Bonds and why Barry Bonds didn't get inducted. So I want you to go ahead and listen to this clip. I have a minute of it for you where he answers some questions about Bonds.
Why no Barry Bonds in this inaugural class?
It was just one of those names that were considered, obviously, but what we went with were the 19 most deserving, in our opinion, members to go into the Hall of Fame, and those being the 19 that we put in. Was Barry considered? Yes, but the fans have to realize that there are more years to come, and we can't put 100 in the first year, so we had to limit it.
You're saying right now that Bonds was considered, so the fact that there's PED allegations against him post-Pirates career, that doesn't make him ineligible for the Pirates Hall of Fame.
That's correct. Yeah, he was in our generation of playing them when I've been here, as long as I've been with the Pirates for 30 years. He's the best I've seen. And the 7 years he was here, two-time MVP, it goes without saying that he was one of the best Pirates ever to put on a uniform.
To what degree, if at all, did the way his post-Pirates career, the PED stuff, did that in any way sort of influence and make you guys think, is he right for the first class? Is he right for a subsequent class? What kind of a factor, if any, did that part of it play?
It really didn't play too much of a factor because we had to just concentrate on what the players did when they were with us.
We're only focusing on what they did when they were with the Pirates. That's what Jim Trudinich just said. Only focusing on what they did when they were with the Pirates. So, if that's the case, you got a two-time MVP and a big home run hitter and a great fielder. Put him in the Hall of Fame. And not only did Trudinich mention that he was a good player, but he said that he was the best player. Bonds was the best player that Trudinich saw since he's been with the Pirates organization. Think about that. The best player that this man saw play for the Pirates since he's been with the organization is not a part of the first class of inductees. Is that not crazy? Is that not wild to think about? What's also wild to me is that they chose 19 players. They didn't go for an even number. I'd say max out at 25 would be reasonable. They didn't do 21 to honor Clemente. They did 19 players. They chose 19 players that couldn't have made it an even 20, and they're saying no, we couldn't add anybody more in. I mean, Tredinich is talking about we can't let 100 people, we can't let 100 inductees in, but like he chose 19. That's a weird number. So I mean, just to recap, Tredinich says that they're only considering what these guys did with the Pirates, which means that Barry Bonds' steroid use and what he did with the Giants does not play a factor. Talked about that Barry Bonds was the best player that he had seen play for the Pirates since he's been a part of the organization, which carries a lot of weight when you say that. But still, even in that case where Tredinich was trying to defend why Bonds might not have been put in right now, he's making more of an argument for why he should have been put in. There's no reason that Tredinich explained why Barry Bonds shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame. So hearing that explanation just kind of tells me, hey, you kind of botched this one with Barry Bonds. He should have been in that first class of Hall of Famers, and he should be recognized for what he did with the Pirates. So that's my opinion for this week. I should be back next week, so unless anything changes with my schedule. But before we get back to Al and the guys for the rest of Sportsline, got a little promotion for you from the municipality of Bethel Park, so let's take a look. Enjoy one of the last weekends of the summer this Saturday and Sunday, August 13th and 14th, during the municipality of Bethel Park's Park and Play Weekend Extravaganza. Saturday, join us at our end of Summer Bash at Simmons Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., where we jammed as much fun as we could into 3 hours. We'll have a photo booth, kindness sidewalk chalk competition, a DJ, caricatures, South Park Theater skits and costumes to try on, a local business vendor fair with fun games and promotions, a chance to sign a thank you card to active duty military, donate items and assemble bags for Beverly's birthdays, and so much more. Sunday, grab your lawn chairs or blankets and head over to Millennium Park for a concert by the band No Bad Juju from 5 to 7:30 p.m. For complete details, visit www.bethelpark.net/parkandplay. Bethel Park's Park and Play. Fun, festive, free.
All right, Chip, rebut.
So once again, Nick feels that Barry Bonds is, he should have been in the inaugural class. I completely disagree with him. I know he does belong in the Hall, not the inaugural class, and he wasn't a big home run hitter when he played for the Pirates. He only hit 176 home runs in his entire time with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
6 years.
6 or 7 years he was with us. So, and Jim Tredinich said he was the best player he saw in the 30 years he's been with the organization. However, the organization has been around 135 years. So, what you saw in the last 30 years may be the best player you saw in the last 30 years, but not in the last 135.
No, it's a little bit sketchy. Nick brought up a couple points that I like. Why was it 19?
We discussed
We covered it.
That,
I say 10. Put the 10 in and 10 each year and do your marketing thing that you want. That's what I would say.
But I do feel the three that we had talked about, Elroy Face, Vernon Law, and Dick Groat, would have been much more deserving in the first inaugural class, way before Barry Bonds.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you, especially like we talked about the three older guys that we know.
That are still living.
Yeah, they're still alive, and how long will they live? So, I mean, that's an issue there that I see. So, thanks to Nick. Glad you could put it in. Check out the Park and Play little promo there. We don't mind doing public access promos, and that was like a little bonus feature there that get out there and enjoy. And try to be safe and sound during the weather. We got some more rain coming, supposedly.
Yeah. Sorry about all the dead air.
Yeah. We had a little bit there. We tried our best, and I think we did pretty well there. And we want to thank all of you for watching. If you can come out Thursday night, that'd be great. If you're local, it's right here at the schoolhouse, right here in 2600 South Park Road. And we thank all of you again. Thanks for your great comments and watching each week and enjoying Facebook Live with us. So please stay Joey strong.